Good evening. Our top story: in a picture that has gone viral, Union Minister Jayant Sinha can be seen garlanding the convicts in the Ramgarh lynching case in Jharkhand. That's at his residence in the outskirts of Hazaribagh. The minister has come under severe criticism from the opposition as well as from human rights activists, even though the BJP has remained mum so far on the incident. Today, speaking out for the first time, finally breaking his silence, he says he was only upholding the due process of the law. Is this defense acceptable? Tonight we're asking, when a union minister felicitates those convicted of lynching, are we encouraging a culture of hate? So on June 30th last year, Alimuddin Ansari was dragged out of his car and beaten to death in Jharkhand's Ramgarh by a mob that accused him of carrying beef. 8 people, including a local BJP leader, were arrested and convicted for this murder in broad daylight, in what is reported to be the first conviction in a case of violence perpetrated in the name of cow protection in India. This morning, Mr. Sinha responded to the backlash for the first time. What is the Union Minister's defense of his actions? Listen in.
It's the outrage over these images of a Union Minister garlanding 8 men convicted of lynching that forced Jayant Sinha to respond.
Rule of law को हम लोगों को किसी भी हालत में सुरक्षित रखना है.
He also sent out a series of tweets defending his actions, saying he respects the rule of law and condemns vigilantism, but that he has doubts over the conviction of the men by a fast-track court in Jharkhand, and that the High Court has suspended their sentence, granting them bail. The fact remains that the men the minister felicitated are still convicts, convicted for beating a man to death on suspicion that he was transporting beef. 6 of the 11 convicts are from the BJP. The reason, it is believed that they have Mr. Sinha's support. They told NDTV that they will be ultimately acquitted in the case soon.
मैं अपने विषय में जानता हूं कि हम पूरी तरह निर्दोष हैं. बाकी लोग मैं किसी को पहचानता नहीं था. जब मैं जेल गया तो वहीं जाना कि ये लोग उसी मामले में आए हुए हैं. मैं किसी को पहचानता नहीं था वहाँ.
In this case, it appears that only the sentence was suspended and the person was granted bail, which means the conviction stands. The person is still in appeal, trying to challenge the existing conviction, but is only released in the interim while the appeal is decided by the High Court.
पर वो जा रहे हैं, मंच पे बैठ के माला पहना रहे हैं, उनको महिमामंडित कर रहे हैं. मैं समझता हूँ किसी केंद्रीय मंत्री के द्वारा ये किया जाना एक तरफ संविधान की अवहेलना है.
Now, if a union minister gets photographed with them in his house and starts garlanding them, then it's very clear that the ruling regime at the center and the state are not interested at all in bringing justice to the Lynch victim.
This is not the first time Mr. Sinha has thrown his weight behind the lynchers. Earlier, after the convictions, he said trial court has not done justice and that the case should be reinvestigated by the CBI.
After the conviction of all the 11 accused, the Jharkhand government claimed that soon rest of the states in the country will have to follow Jharkhand model of a speedy justice in the lynching cases. But now, with Union Minister Jayant Sinha actions and half-baked justification, he has ended up only embarrassing his own government in Jharkhand. With cameraman Harvansh, this is Manish Kumar for NDTV.
All right, so in studio tonight we have Mr. Deshratan Nigam. He is a lawyer. He is also a member of the RSS. We have KTS Tulsi, senior advocate and Rajya Sabha MP, and Pranav Jha, who is the spokesperson of the Congress. Mr. Nigam, I want to start with you. You are not representing the BJP. You are a member of the RSS. But that said, is this not a clear endorsement of the so-called self-appointed Gau Rakshaks? Is the Modi government not encouraging lynchings?
No, I don't bring the entire BJP into the picture. I would certainly not approve of this kind of a behavior of the minister. But at the same time, he has a right to criticize the judgment, and which he has done. He has brought out certain points that they were, in fact, the High Court also mentioned in the judgment that no allegation of assault is on these 7 people whose sentence has been suspended, and they were there in the mob, but nothing else is there on the video. I mean, be that as it may be, but the fact remains at the end of the day, it is just a bail, and it's not a cause of celebration for anybody. Ultimately, it will be decided by the court whether to uphold the sentence or to set aside the sentence.
That's a very good point. So why not wait for that to come in?
Yes.
Two things. One, you say you can't bring in the whole BJP, but the fact is, we haven't even heard any statements from the party till now. They've been ominous in their silence since this.
I think I would not take it to that extent, because sometimes all the parties seems to be celebrating the bail.
Let's talk about this case.
I would rather speak generally, and I have already given my disapproval to this particular incident. And when people get bail, they think it's a relief to them, but it's a temporary relief. You may be convicted, you may be acquitted as well.
You said he has a right to criticize the judgment, but is this criticizing the judgment, feeding these convicts? They're still convicts, and surely the union minister should know the difference between a sentence being stayed and a conviction being stayed. These are two different things, very separate things.
Yeah. I'm aware.
And let's not get into the fact that the union minister who studied at Harvard, he's been to IIT. Is he pretending to be?
Probably he's pleasing.
Is he disingenuous?
See, I somehow never use the word disingenuous. It's a camouflage of not saying anything on merits. And let me tell you, he's probably pleasing his own constituency at the local level. And probably these are leaders in their own right who are there. But at the end of the day, they are still convicted people. Only sentence has been suspended. And I do not approve in any way.
If he's pleasing his own constituency, and that means the message you're sending out, you're playing to the public over here, the message you're sending out is that you can completely disregard the law.
See, let me
this is a blatant murder in broad daylight. A man has been killed. This is somebody's son, somebody's father, somebody's husband.
I do understand what you're saying. At the same time, these people may be acquitted tomorrow. We don't know till they exhaust all their remedy till the Supreme Court. Ultimately, and maybe he's aware of certain facts that I am not. At the same time, the High Court has made certain observation in favor of these convicted people, saying there is not much on record or on evidence. So probably they are thinking there is a likelihood that they will win the case.
Okay, Mr. Tulsi, can you come in over here? India is facing this deadly wave of lynchings. You have a union minister garlanding, personally honoring those who are convicted of lynchings. Mr. Nigam rightly points out that they may be acquitted tomorrow, he says. Should the minister certainly not have waited? First, he should know the difference between a sentence being stayed and a conviction being stayed, and should he not have waited for this final verdict to come in?
See, at this time, these convicts are guilty. They are held guilty in the eyes of law. They are guilty. Even if they have been granted bail, that is, their sentence is suspended, their conviction is not suspended. They will suffer from all the disqualifications of a person guilty of a heinous criminal offense. Now, for a minister to utilize them is giving a message to hundreds of other vigilante groups that go ahead, we will be on your side. Even if you are convicted, we will celebrate you as heroes. This is the monster that they have unleashed, and they are not going to be able to stop it. The problem is the government doesn't realize that its first obligation is the protection of the life and property of the citizens. They are not to utilize mob rule. Here, the manner in which mercilessly people are being killed on the basis of a rumor is a shame on the entire legal system. This is cocking a snoop. The minister is cocking a snoop on the judiciary.
Correct.
That you do what you like, we will celebrate them as heroes.
And this is not the first minister to have done this. We've seen a union minister do this in the Dadri lynchings, in the funeral of a murder of an accused there. We've seen BJP ministers speak out in Kathua in support of those who are said to have raped an 8-year-old child. But as a senior advocate, what is the message this sends out legally also? Can we expect a fair trial after all this?
No, I think this is telling the entire rule of law that we care two hoots for you, that we are ones who are going to celebrate. This is what happened in Godhra. This is what happened in post-Godhra everywhere. And the government seems to be on the side of the criminal and not the victim. And that's the case in all lynching cases. This is what we are noticing, that the government seems to be registering cases against the victim's family instead of being on the side of the victim. Here, the criminals seem to be ruling the roost, and they have full support of the government to go ahead and do it. And the
There's
ministers
no
will
respect
openly
for the law of the land.
celebrate you as heroes.
No respect for the law of the land. Before I go across to the Congress, Mr. Nigam, you want to respond, so go ahead.
Let me respond to Mr. Tulsi. Mr. Tulsi, me and you both appear in courts every day in Supreme Court and Delhi High Court, and we all trust the independence of our judiciary. At least let us not cast aspersion on our judiciary that they will not be working independently, and I am sure one court has convicted. The High Court will see the merits and will decide according to the merits of the case. And let's not say
I'm not saying that judiciary doesn't act independently.
no, but you're saying the message that is the judiciary is getting pressurized, and judiciary you did say certain things about judiciary and such kind of message.
Says they are guilty and minister celebrates them as heroes.
No, let's see, the fact remains at the end of the day, it is entirely the job of the judiciary to do justice, and I'm sure they will do justice this way or that way.
It's also the job of the ministers to respect
Yeah,
the word.
Absolutely.
yes,
This is not just any person on the ground. This is a union minister.
I have already
we've
said
heard complete silence from the rest of his colleagues in the cabinet, from any of the senior BJP leaders on this. They've just kept quiet, and that silence perhaps speaks more. But let's go across to Pranav Jha from the Congress. Pranav, this comes in a week when the centre seemed to be serious about stopping the menace of mob lynching, right? We had at the same time you have a senior cabinet colleague stunning everybody by choosing to personally honor these convicted murderers of this man in Jharkhand. So was the former just a farce?
Sir, I've been on debates through the evening, and shocking and horrific is how you can call this unfortunate incident. And although I heard my friend Nigam ji, he clarified that he is not speaking for BJP. But let me tell you that the spokesperson from BJP and VHP had no regrets, were on the border of justifying it, saying that you don't talk about Kashmir, you don't discuss Kerala, you don't talk about incidents in Karnataka. So, and the third important thing that Nigamji said is that probably the minister was trying to appeal to his constituency. And I think that's where the fact is, that's what the fact is. We've forgotten a recent incident. Another MP, member of parliament from Godda, a neighboring constituency in Jharkhand itself, Nishikant Dubey ji from Bhajpa, he also did something similar. In fact, there were people who were charged of lynching. He went out in support and said that he'll do everything to protect them, to give them legal aid and
fees,
whatnot. It just got lost in the melee. What I'm saying is that it's a problem of mindset. And where does it stem from? How does it get strength in this discourse? Isn't it? It's symptomatic. It started, if you recall, when Lok Sabha elections were to be held, Prime Minister feted the culprits of Muzaffarnagar riots in Mathura. They were not only felicitated, they were also given Z+ security when they came to power.